Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily English with Lily and Leo. I'm Lily, and today we are talking about something that is part of every single person's daily life, whether you love it, hate it, or have absolutely no idea what you're doing.
And I'm Leo. We're talking about food, cooking, eating, recipes, the difference between a meal and a disaster, and everything in between. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's completely free and there's a brand new episode every week. Okay, let's talk about food.
So, Leo, I want to start with a very simple question. Do you cook?
Define cook.
Intentionally prepare food using heat.
Then yes, occasionally, with variable results.
Variable meaning what exactly?
Meaning that sometimes I follow a recipe carefully, all the ingredients come together, and the result is something I am genuinely happy to eat. And sometimes I look at what I've made, think about it for a few minutes, and then make a phone call.
To whom?
To the pizza place.
Of course you do.
Pizza has never let me down. I want to be clear about that. Every time I've had a cooking failure, pizza has been there, reliable and warm 20 minutes later. I have enormous loyalty to pizza.
Pizza is dinner food at best.
Pizza is an all-day food. We have been over this. Pizza does not have a schedule. Pizza transcends time.
We genuinely disagree about this more than anything else in our lives.
More than anything. Okay, but putting pizza aside for a moment, I do actually cook. I make pasta quite well. I know a few sauces. I understand the basics. I've made it enough times that it's reliable. But last month, I decided I wanted to push myself. I wanted to try something completely new.
What did you try?
Dumplings. I decided to make dumplings from scratch. Not buy them from a shop, not use pre-made dough, from scratch. My own dough, my own filling, folded by my own hands.
Oh, that is a real commitment.
I found a recipe online. It looked manageable. The recipe said, simple dough, a short list of ingredients, fold and cook. The video that went with it showed someone folding dumplings very quickly and confidently, making a little pleated edge that looked almost decorative.
I know those videos. The hands move so fast.
The hands move so fast, and every dumpling comes out identical and perfect, and the whole thing takes about 4 minutes. I watched it 3 times before I started.
And then you tried.
And then I tried. And the dough was actually fine. I was surprised. I mixed the flour and the water and the salt in the right proportions, kneaded it for the right amount of time, let it rest. That part worked. I felt good at this point. I thought, maybe I'm a natural.
I can already hear where this is going.
The filling was also fine. Pork and cabbage, very traditional, seasoned well. I tasted it. It was good. Everything was going well. And then I started folding.
What happened?
Nothing happened. That's the problem. My hands didn't do the thing. I watched the video again on my phone, propped up against the kitchen wall, and I tried to copy the movement, and my fingers just refused. Every dumpling I made looked different. Some were too thick on one side, some burst open when I pressed them. One looked like it was trying to be a different shape entirely.
How long did you spend on this?
About 40 minutes of folding, for maybe 30 dumplings. Which, if you do the maths, is not great.
But did they taste good?
They tasted absolutely wonderful. That was the real revelation. Ugly on the outside, genuinely delicious on the inside. I sat down and ate them all and felt very proud of myself. Not because they looked impressive, they did not, but because I made them from nothing. That was mine.
That feeling is real. When you cook something from scratch and it actually works, there is a specific kind of satisfaction that you don't get from anything else.
Yes. It's very different from, say, reheating something or making a sandwich. There's a process, and at the end of the process, a thing exists that didn't exist before, and you made it happen. It's a small but real achievement.
I feel that way about baking especially. I don't bake much during heavy training because I tend to eat what I bake, which defeats the purpose. But when I do, there's something almost meditative about it.
You bake?
Not often, but I can make a decent loaf of bread. I find kneading dough quite calming, actually. There's a rhythm to it, and the result is something that smells incredible and is completely made by you.
I've never made bread. That feels like the next level.
You should try it. The ingredients are basically just flour, water, yeast, and salt. The challenge is not the ingredient list, it's understanding the process, how much time the dough needs to rise, how to tell when it's ready, that kind of feel you only develop by doing it.
This is what people mean when they talk about cooking intuition, isn't it? The knowledge that isn't in the recipe.
Exactly. A recipe can tell you the temperature and the time, but it can't tell you what it looks like when it's just right. You have to learn that from experience.
I respect that enormously. I'm not there yet. I'm still at the stage of following the recipe very literally and hoping for the best.
Which is exactly where you should be. The intuition comes later.
What does your cooking look like day to day? Because I know you approach food very differently from me.
Very differently, yes. I do a lot of meal prep. I spend a few hours on Sunday cooking in batches, and then I have everything ready for the whole week. Grains, roasted vegetables, protein, all portioned out in containers in the fridge. Monday to Friday, I just open a container and eat.
This sounds incredibly organized and slightly joyless.
It sounds joyless from the outside, but honestly, it's freedom. I don't have to think about food during the week. I don't have to decide anything when I'm tired after training. The decision was already made on Sunday when I had the energy to make it properly.
That's actually a really interesting way to think about it. The effort goes where the energy is.
Exactly. And the food is good. Simple cuisine, nothing fancy, but it's exactly what I need. It fuels the running, it fuels the training, and I know what's in it because I made it.
What do you make most often?
Right now, a big pot of grains, usually rice or quinoa, roasted sweet potato and broccoli, some chicken thighs or baked eggs, a sauce or dressing so it doesn't feel too dry. That's basically the formula. Swap in different vegetables, different protein, different seasoning, but the structure is the same.
It sounds genuinely good when you describe it like that. I think I assumed meal prep was more depressing than it is.
The key is seasoning. People underestimate seasoning. Well-seasoned simple food is much better than badly seasoned complicated food.
I have learned this the hard way.
The salt and sugar incident?
The salt and sugar incident, yes. Early days of living alone, I was making a soup, a big pot, enough for several days. I added seasoning near the end without tasting first, and I added what I thought was salt.
It wasn't salt.
It was sugar, a very large amount of sugar. I didn't notice until I tasted it and thought, this is wrong in a way I cannot describe. Sweet soup. An enormous pot of sweet soup. I couldn't fix it. I threw the whole thing away.
How much did you lose?
It was a genuinely painful amount of wasted food. And I thought of Mark immediately because Mark did the same thing but with a birthday cake. He made the whole cake, baked it, iced it, and the first person to try it at the party realized it was completely wrong. Too much salt instead of sugar in the batter. The whole thing was inedible.
At a birthday party?
At a birthday party. For someone who was expecting a nice cake and had to pretend it was fine for a moment before admitting that no, it really wasn't fine at all.
Mark is so kind that I can absolutely picture him trying to make it work.
He absolutely tried. He had 3 bites before accepting reality.
Okay, so the lesson from both of these stories is always taste before you add more, and keep your sugar and salt in clearly labeled containers.
Separately, ideally. In different areas of the kitchen.
Different areas of the kitchen, yes.
Has anyone in your circle of friends had a cooking disaster story? Because I feel like everyone has one.
Julia once tried to cook for her cactuses. Not like soup for the cactuses, but she went through a phase of reading about companion planting and natural fertilizers and somehow ended up attempting to make some kind of food compost mixture from kitchen scraps. I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently Spike and Prickly Peter did not thrive for several weeks after.
She tried to cook for her cactuses, and the cactuses suffered.
She said she learned a lot from the experience. She always does. She's the most resilient person I know.
That's the spirit. Something fails, you learn, you carry on.
And she also told me she had the best ramen of her life in Japan. She went off the tourist trail, found a small place that wasn't in any guidebook, and ate there 3 times in 1 week. She described the bowl to me for about 10 minutes, and I still don't fully understand what made it different, but her face when she talked about it said everything.
Japanese cuisine is extraordinary. There's a precision and attention to detail that is completely different from how I approach cooking, which is mostly hoping for the best.
The dumpling experience is moving you in the right direction, though.
I'd like to think so. I've already looked up another recipe. I want to try making gyoza next, the pan-fried version. Apparently, the technique is different.
More folding.
More folding, my nemesis. But I feel like I need to face it again.
1% better at folding every time.
Exactly, 1% better. Okay, should we do vocabulary?
Let's do vocabulary, and then grammar, which connects directly to cooking, actually.
It does, very naturally.
Good. 5 words, everyone. They'll all be in the episode description below, so you can save them, screenshot them, make flashcards, whatever works best for you.
Word 1, recipe. A recipe is a set of instructions for making a specific dish. It tells you which ingredients to use, how much of each one, and the steps to follow. I followed a recipe for my dumplings, and the recipe was not the problem. The problem was me and my hands.
Word 2, ingredient. An ingredient is any individual item that goes into a dish. Eggs are ingredients. Flour is an ingredient. Garlic, olive oil, salt, all ingredients. When a recipe says gather your ingredients, it means collect everything before you start. This is good advice. I always do this. Apparently not everyone does.
I used to just grab things as I needed them. The recipe says otherwise. I now gather. It helps. Word 3, from scratch.
From scratch means making something completely yourself, from the basic raw materials without using pre-made or shop-bought shortcuts. If you make bread from scratch, you use flour, water, yeast, and salt, not a bread mix from a packet. Making dumplings from scratch means making your own dough, from scratch.
Word 4, meal prep. Meal prep is the practice of preparing several meals in advance, usually over 1 or 2 days, typically at the weekend, so that you have ready food for the coming days. It saves time and decision-making during the week. One of us does this. The other one improvises and sometimes orders pizza.
Both valid approaches, arguably. Word 5, cuisine. Cuisine refers to a style or tradition of cooking associated with the particular country or region. Italian cuisine, French cuisine, Japanese cuisine, Chinese cuisine. You can also use it more broadly. Home cuisine, street cuisine, the cuisine of my grandmother's village. It's a more refined word than just food. It implies a whole tradition, not just a single meal.
The cuisine of my grandmother's village is very heavy and very warming, and I dream about it sometimes. Lots of potatoes, lots of bread, everything cooked slowly.
That sounds wonderful in winter.
In winter, it is perfect. In summer, it is slightly much, but still good.
Okay, grammar. Countable and uncountable nouns. This is a topic that comes up constantly in English, and cooking is genuinely one of the best contexts to understand it because you use both types of nouns all the time in the kitchen.
So, a countable noun is a noun that exists as individual, separate units. You can count them. 1 egg, 2 eggs, 3 eggs, a dozen eggs. You put a number directly in front and it makes perfect sense.
An uncountable noun, sometimes called a mass noun, is a noun that doesn't exist as individual separate units. It's a substance or a mass. Flour is a classic example. You can't say 1 flour, 2 flowers. It doesn't work. Flour is a substance you measure, not count. So instead of asking how many, you ask how much. How much flour do you need?
Here is where it affects your grammar directly. With countable nouns, you use many and few. How many eggs? Not many eggs. A few ingredients. With uncountable nouns, you use much and little. How much flour? Not much water. A little salt.
And a lot of works with both, which is handy. A lot of eggs, a lot of flour. No problem either way. But much and many, few and little, those are specific.
Now it gets a little more interesting. Some nouns can switch between countable and uncountable depending on what you mean. The word cake is a perfect example.
1 cake, that's countable. Mark made a cake. 2 cakes, an entire birthday cake. Here you're talking about a whole individual object.
But cake as a general substance, uncountable. I don't eat much cake during training, not many cakes. Much cake. Because here you're talking about cake as a category, as a type of food in general, not as individual cakes you could count.
Coffee works the same way. Would you like a coffee? That means 1 cup. Countable. But I drink too much coffee. Coffee there is the substance. uncountable.
Too much coffee is always my answer, by the way. Always.
And water. You can order a water at a restaurant, 1 glass, countable. But there isn't much water left in the bottle, uncountable, because you're talking about the substance.
So the key question to ask yourself is, am I thinking about individual separate units, or am I thinking about a substance or mass? Individual units, countable, use many, few, how many. Substance, uncountable, use much, little, how much.
Let's practice. I'll say a word, you say how much or how many.
Ready.
Eggs,
How many?
butter,
How much?
recipes,
How many?
rice,
How much?
dumplings,
How many? Specifically, I made 30.
oil,
How much?
ingredients.
How many?
Perfect, all correct. And one last point. When you learn a new English word, it's worth checking, is this countable or uncountable? Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it surprises you. Furniture, for example, is uncountable in English. You can't say one furniture, you say a piece of furniture. Advice is uncountable. Information is uncountable. These are things that feel like they should be countable, but aren't.
Once you start noticing this, you hear it everywhere. Native speakers mark it automatically, but for learners, it's a real adjustment. The good news is that mistakes here rarely cause confusion. People understand you, but getting it right makes your English sound much more natural.
And cooking is honestly one of the best ways to practice it. Next time you're in the kitchen, notice which things you count and which things you measure. Eggs, countable. Salt, uncountable. Tomatoes, countable. Olive oil, uncountable. It becomes second nature very quickly.
Okay, before we close, I want to come back to something.
Go ahead.
The dumplings. Specifically, the part before I made them, because I nearly didn't.
What do you mean?
I bought the ingredients on a Saturday. I had the afternoon free. I set everything out on the counter. And then I watched the folding video one more time, and I thought, I can't do that. That looks too difficult. My hands don't work like that. I'm going to embarrass myself in my own kitchen alone with nobody watching. And I nearly just put everything away and made pasta.
But you didn't.
But I didn't. I thought, what is actually the worst case here? The worst case is that the dumplings are ugly and taste fine, and I eat them anyway. That's the worst case. And the best case is I surprise myself. So I started.
And they were ugly and tasted wonderful.
They were ugly and they were wonderful, yes. And I learned something. Not just about dumplings, about the feeling before you try something new. That feeling of, I probably can't do this, is uncomfortable, but it's not a reason not to start. It's just what the beginning of something unfamiliar feels like.
I think about this a lot in running. The first kilometer of every run feels hard, every single time. Even after years, the body protests, the mind says, maybe not today. And then something shifts around kilometer 2 and you find your pace and it becomes something else entirely.
The beginning is always the hardest part.
Always, but the only way through the beginning is to start.
1% every day, even in the kitchen.
Especially in the kitchen. Try one thing this week that you've never made before. One recipe you've looked at and thought, maybe next time. Make it next time. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to happen.
And if something goes wrong, you'll have a story. Mark's cake has been talked about for years. My ugly dumplings are already a story I've told multiple times. The disasters are part of it.
The disasters are absolutely part of it.
Okay, that's it for today. Thank you so much for spending this time with us on Daily English with Lily and Leo.
Today we talked about food and cooking, recipes, meal prep, kitchen disasters, dumplings, and one legendary birthday cake that was not quite what anyone expected.
And we covered vocabulary and grammar, countable and uncountable nouns, which sounds dry on paper but is genuinely everywhere once you start looking for it.
5 words for the week: recipe, ingredient, from scratch, meal prep, and cuisine, all in the description below with definitions.
Subscribe if you haven't. It's free, it really does help us, and we'd love to have you back next week.
And leave us a comment. We have a question for you. What's your best cooking disaster story? Or what dish have you always wanted to make from scratch but keep putting off? Tell us. We read everything.
1% every day. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.